Have you ever felt alive, but not truly living? You wake up tired, promising yourself that today you'll change, that you'll be more disciplined. But by the end of the day, your mind is so loud that all you can do is repeat the same cycle. Once again, it feels as if something inside you has fallen asleep, not dead, just forgotten. In Japan, there's a word for this state: kokoro no kumori, the fog of the heart. It's when the spirit loses its clarity and the body merely survives. But there exists an ancient practice capable of clearing that fog in just 30 days. It's not a magic trick. It's a silent method, born among monks and samurai, men who learned to master their minds before mastering the sword. They called it Seishin, the cultivation of a pure mind. And when you understand what Seishin truly means, you realize that transformation never begins on the outside, but within. It doesn't start with productivity. It starts with presence. And that's when your life begins to shift, one day at a time, like the bamboo that grows unseen beneath the soil before breaking through the surface. The word Seishin combines two characters: Sei, meaning pure spirit, and Shin, meaning heart or mind. In ancient Japan, this union represented something far greater than discipline. It was a state of harmony between thought, emotion, and action. It was how monks, samurai, and artists remained centered even in the midst of chaos. For centuries, the Japanese believed that true strength did not come from controlling the outer world, but from purifying the inner one. The monk who swept the temple floor with reverence was not merely cleaning, he was cleansing his mind. The blacksmith who polished a blade to perfection was not chasing flawlessness. He was sculpting himself in the silence of steel. That is the essence of Seishin, to cultivate the spirit until every gesture, no matter how small, becomes a prayer. In the West, we were trained to chase results, lose weight, make money, be more productive, as if life were an endless checklist. But in the East, the process itself is the temple. They don't seek speed, they seek depth. While the Westerner tries to control time, the Japanese seek to move in harmony with it. And that's what the Seishin method offers: a transformation that doesn't come from force but from presence. An aligned mind naturally creates an aligned life. You don't have to change everything. Only begin with what's within you: a calmer thought, a more mindful gesture, a decision made in silence. The first thing to understand about the Seishin method is that it's not a 30-day challenge. It's a purification, a return to what's essential. During this period, you won't just change habits. You'll cleanse the very space where they are born, your mind. On the first day, everything feels simple. You decide to wake up a little earlier, breathe before the day begins, maybe tidy your room with a bit more attention. But Seishin isn't measured by what you do, it's measured by how you do it. When a Japanese person prepares a cup of coffee, they're not just serving a drink. They're practicing ichigo ichie, the awareness that this exact moment is unique and will never come again. When you live like that, even the simplest gestures become sacred. The second principle of Seishin is focus in a single direction. A scattered mind is like a river that spreads too wide and loses its strength. But when its flow is channeled, it can carve through stone. That's why, during the 30 days, you should choose just one thing to refine: your diet, your writing, your patience, your body, or your faith. A samurai didn't train 10 techniques a day. He trained the same one 1,000 times. There's something few people notice about transformation. It doesn't happen in the climax, but in the silence between the days. In those moments when you want to give up, when it feels like nothing is changing. But it's in that invisible space that the bamboo grows beneath the earth. Seishin teaches that true victory isn't in achievement, but in consistency. Each small action, repeated day after day, becomes part of your spirit, and over time, reshapes the way you think, speak, and act. Imagine a monk sweeping the same garden every morning. The dust returns, the leaves fall, yet he continues. Because the practice isn't for the garden, it's for the heart. In the same way, Seishin invites you to repeat your actions not for the result, but for the purity that arises from conscious repetition. When you make your bed, you're learning to organize your thoughts. When you speak with kindness, you're training your spirit. When you keep your word, you're strengthening your soul. Another essential element is ma, the space between things. In Japan, silence is part of the conversation. Between one breath and the next, Seishin creates room to hear what the world is trying to say. So reduce the noise, limit distractions, leave your phone aside for a few hours. The sound of the wind, the smell of coffee, the touch of water, all of it can become meditation if you are fully present. And there's one subtle detail that turns Seishin into something extraordinary: respect. Respect for yourself, for others, and for time. In Japan, work is not treated as punishment, but as a path of honor. And when you adopt this mindset, something within you shifts. Laziness gives way to intention. Chaos gives way to clarity. Haste gives way to presence. In the final days of the method, you realize that the world around you hasn't become easier, but your mind has become quieter. And that's where the true power of Seishin is revealed. Not in changing what happens around you, but in transforming what happens within you. Maybe right now you're thinking, but I don't have time for this. And that's where the true beauty of Seishin reveals itself. It doesn't demand more time. It demands more presence. You don't need to wake up at 5 in the morning, meditate in complete silence, or live in a temple. All you need is to turn the things you already do into rituals of awareness. If you're brushing your teeth, be there. If you're working, give your full attention to what's in front of you. If you're eating, taste your food instead of scrolling through your phone. That's how chaos begins to give way to clarity. Seishin doesn't want your schedule. It wants your awakened spirit. And when the spirit awakens, time expands, the mind slows down, and life finally begins to breathe again. At the end of these 30 days, you may notice something unexpected. Life still has noise. The world is still fast. People still rush. But inside you, there is silence. A kind of calm that doesn't come from escaping chaos, but from learning to walk through it lightly. That is the true power of Seishin, to turn the ordinary into sacred, the automatic into conscious, fatigue into clarity. And if you walk this path, even for just 1 month, you'll realize that change doesn't live in the future. It lives in the way you inhabit the present moment. Remember, bamboo spends years growing unseen beneath the earth before it breaks through the surface. But when it does, it rises meters in just a few days. Perhaps your life is in that same invisible season of growth. So keep going. One gesture at a time, one thought at a time, one day at a time. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to the channel and walk this path with me. Next week, I'll share another Japanese teaching that can elevate your spirit even further and shape an indestructible mind. Until then, cultivate your Seishin.